shoppin'.
Ballin' out.
Hi, welcome to Ballin' Out Super, the number one recap podcast for the new Dragon Ball series, Dragon Ball Super. Great. So, in this episode, we open on Goku and his lucrative new farming career, and then Trunks and Gohan decide
This is going to be a problem.
Yes. Buy a present.
Just because they look identical doesn't mean you can mistake them.
Just because they have the same voice actor.
They try to buy a present, and then Mr. Satan tries to give Goku money. Would we say that is the plot of this episode?
Yeah, that's it.
I think a more accurate description might be that this episode has no plot.
This is just a fun palling around sode to get you back in the mood.
Yeah, it's
to ball out.
It's very indicative, I think, of Dragon Ball, like as a franchise overall, that it opens with filler.
Yeah, there is a recap, but the recap makes no sense if you haven't been watching hundreds of episodes of Dragon Ball. Right?
And even if you have, I mean, I feel like it brought me further from understanding what was going on.
Right.
It felt like a fever dream that I'm waking up to. Like, it all seems familiar, but also maybe it never happened at all, which is much how the people of Earth probably felt after their memories got wiped.
Oh, do you mean after they were killed and then all brought back and told to raise their hands in the air together as a people to defeat the pink man somewhere?
I do love that this episode ends much the same way as the original series ended, which is to say by negating all of the plot that had happened up until that point, right? By having everybody die, come back, and then be wished to have forgotten what happened before that.
And then they make no changes in their lives. They just go back to exactly what they were doing before. Should we talk about ourselves for a second?
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Should we say hello?
Yeah, I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, that might be prudent.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm spot on.
Yeah.
Alex, why don't you go ahead and why don't you lead us through this segment?
That's a leopard because leopards have spots. Hello, thanks for listening. We're your friends here on the Ballin' Out podcast. We're having a good time watching some Dragon Ball and telling you about it. So we're all a bunch of friends talking together.
What is this?
I'm Alex Patak. I love watching some life or death struggles, in any medium, but Dragon Ball is the one that really speaks to me as a broken-brained child man. And we're all comedians, right, in Brooklyn?
Yes.
And so we got nothing going on.
So
this is what we're doing.
Well, and I'd love to know,
Welcome.
Alex, from you, what's your history with Dragon Ball?
Okay, well,
When
between the
did you get
ages
into
of
it?
11 to 14 is when the male body is going through its most turbulent changes. And in these years, you need a bedrock to kind of leash your passions to some kind of like external force, to kind of like narrativize and explain your anger. And I think a lot of people our age, mid-20s, found that in Dragon Ball, and they thought, why am I so horny all the time? Why don't they respect me on the football team just because I don't play football or like them? And Dragon Ball answers these questions by telling you at a young age you're better than these people because you have secret powers only you know about. And so I really attached that narrative as much as I could during these times to become a secretly violent and disturbed young man I've become today.
So real.
Wow.
I love the show.
Love the show.
Super fan. Super Saiyan fan. Just kidding. We're having fun. Jeremy, talk about your experience with Dragon Ball.
I got into Dragon Ball I think in 96.
Oh, that was
something like that. I was very young. I was much too young to be watching a show with naked boys with little tails and things like that.
They were very big into wieners.
They
I
love
like
the
that
baby
they
wieners.
put the wieners on because it showed they weren't afraid of the penis.
The male
like American
anatomy.
cartoons that pretend no one has a penis. Let's move on.
Anyway,
very
Jeremy,
funny.
sorry to cut
We're
you
wearing
off.
pants for no reason.
I honestly, I don't actually remember the first time I saw it, but for
I was on so many drugs back then.
so
It was
many
a-
drugs back then, for probably about a 5 or 6 year period of my life, I only drew Dragon Ball pictures. I only watched Dragon Ball Z. I only ever did anything like that. I didn't do anything else in my life. I didn't listen to music except Rock the Dragon.
Oh boy.
This is like what someone with PTSD says.
It was a big part
What
of my life,
happened
man.
to you?
I played text-based Dragon Ball
Wow,
RPGs
wow.
back in the Angel Fire days.
I think I played those for Gundam Wing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were not fun. Not fun
No,
games.
it felt very deceitful that as a child you'd be like, "Oh, I found a game. Oh, it's a book. All right, I'm still gonna play it. Okay." Time is just flying by.
Well, what about you, Katie? What is your experience of them?
Oh, and everyone should say their names.
Hi, I'm Katie. I had
I thought it was important. I'm sorry.
happy to oblige. I have a little different relationship. I definitely was into a lot of anime crap as a kid. But for me, Dragon Ball was a show either on before Sailor Moon or Tenchi Muyo, depending on the network you were watching it on. I also
That's
was...
both Toonami.
Yeah.
Tenchi
Well,
Muyo was wild.
Yes, we can talk about that some other time.
Let us never
saucy.
speak of it.
I have a lot of opinions. The thing is, once I discovered anime, like when I was, I want to say 12, I got so obsessed with it, I would watch anything and usually out of order on cable television. So I would just watch it. I never really knew the plot because I was always watching random episodes out of whack, but I did understand it was kind of a male show, which I was into because Jeremy has known me most of my life, and he can tell you that I was a very, like, angry weirdo girl.
Yes.
And I was very into being like, yeah, I like things that other girls don't. So I was like,
I'm just one of the guys.
I'm just
you
like
know?
one of the guys who loves Super Smash Brothers and Dragon Ball Z, I
Did they ever
guess.
put a Dragon Ball Z character in Super Smash Brothers?
They did not. But
Wait, no, they had Jump All Stars, which was like anime Super Smash Brothers,
Yes.
but
Oh,
they did
what?
not have Goku in Super Smash Brothers. Oh, I'll tell you all about this after.
That's
because it's
insane.
going to be a whole K-hole. But
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
That sounds awesome.
meanwhile, Katie was young and doing whatever it took to get the next rush.
yeah, I do have a very, like, clear memory of being in middle school and
Yeah.
hearing this group of boys talk about Dragon Ball Z who normally would ignore me, and then I was able to engage in that conversation, and I'm like, this is it. I found my way in.
Get them where they sleep. Yeah. Now they respect me as a boy.
Kinda, except like I also drew a lot of like crappy anime, but like, you know, I would have like the Dragon Ball Z ones and the cool monsters in the front so they didn't flip back and see all like my schoolgirls and my
I was
Tenchi
so
Muyo
ashamed.
stuff.
I was so ashamed of liking Dragon Ball so much.
Yeah, it
at
is a
that time
big
period.
source of shame in your adolescent
Right.
life, right? I had one toy that I ever got of Dragon Ball. It was a Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Yeah.
That my friend whose mother,
It's the one with the longest hair.
the longest
most
hair, it's
illustrious.
so luxurious, you
It's
know?
gorgeous.
His kid's mother managed to KB Toys.
Oh wow.
And for my birthday, for some reason, I wasn't very good friends with this kid, but he decided to give me a toy. He was the only person who knew that I was into Dragon Ball, and he gave me this Super Saiyan 3 Goku that I promptly hid under my bed and never played
Aw.
with.
I
No one
didn't give
else
a
knows.
shit.
No one else knows you're here. No one else knows about your hair. Just little Jeremy.
Just sneak it out at night and, have a little...
Just feel. Jeremy is miming combing hair. Oh no, he's flying the Goku.
Oh, that's so sad. You boys need to be supported more in your non-toxic masculinity because, like, I had all that shit. My parents didn't care. They're like, whatever. She's talking about Digimon again. I guess we support her. Well, should we get into...
I feel like we could have all said the same story 3 times and it would have been roughly the same.
Yeah, a lot of sexual confusion, a lot of weird masculinity.
9/11 affected us all in different ways.
Well, this, I think, actually transitions us very well into...
Wait. Before we get to that, let's talk about the episode a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about, just what happened. Let's catch up on our friends.
Okay.
Over
Yeah,
the
sure.
Dragon Ball universe.
So we open on Goku in a surprisingly foppish...
He was like a safari man with an ascot.
Yes.
Sans hat.
He's dressed very nicely.
He looks like what Austin Powers would look like if he went on safari.
Except he is doing farm work.
He's driving a tractor.
Yeah, what is he farming? He pulls up that brown root, but we never really see what he's growing.
In the intro, he has turnips. So he's probably just doing turnips.
But it is barren. The field is barren. It's like
it
a
doesn't
dust
look like he's
bowl
doing a good
situation.
job.
Could it be possible Goku is not good at subsistence farming? Out of the middle of nowhere.
Perhaps it's, in fact, foreshadowing what we will learn later, which is that Goku and Chi-Chi and the Sun family, is that how you'd call them? The Sun family are having some financial problems.
Right, because they were born into luxurious wealth on Chi-Chi's side, and then a terrible fire burnt it all.
Which is...
some dark stuff they gloss over in the show,
Yeah,
because it would be too dark for an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
And that's, I don't know about you guys, but for me, Ox King is a beloved character. I really want to know what happened to the king.
Yeah.
He's the king. I feel like he owned a franchise somewhere.
Also, I feel like Goku is very glib about the collapse of their family life.
Yeah. Like, it's always, it's a recurring joke among fans of the franchise, obviously, that Goku is a terrible parent, but it really feels like they've, supercharged it now.
Here's the thing about Goku, is he has a 10 out of 10 alpha body, and that's what he's bringing to the table in his marriage. And Chi-Chi knows that, and she's presented very unreasonably in the show, but she has to work with just, a Beavis and Butthead dumbass husband who goes out and destroys the fields he's supposed to be farming so he can train on his lunch break. And in the 4 minutes we see Goku farm in the show, he drives a tractor 10 feet, eats lunch, powers up to Super Saiyan, and destroys the ground for no reason. And while he's doing that, his son drives a tractor off a cliff.
Which, by the way, weird scene. Goten can fly. We all know this.
Goten can fly. There is no danger. Even if the tractor hit the ground, he'd be like, I bet you thought that hurt, ground, or whatever.
They're establishing very early my favorite trope in Dragon Ball, which is there are no stakes because no one can die.
Yeah, there are stakes, all right, but Goku's going to eat them all.
Oh.
Goku's going to eat all the stakes.
So, after...
Get off this podcast.
I talked too late to cancel.
Oh, Lord. So, after our near tractor crash, we cut, right?
Yeah, we,
It's into Trunks. Trunks is at home talking.
No, don't we go to Mr. Satan first?
Oh, we do. But before that, one interesting notable that I think we all made note of was Goku, before eating, sits down to pray.
Oh, right.
To who?
To people he knows personally.
Who he can contact with his psychic talk thing.
That makes it more likely that they'll help you out if you've saved their lives before.
And not only that, he as somebody who personally knows every god in the universe,
all the Kais,
and he knows all the Kais, and as well as Kame, who also is kind of a god. He knows none of them provide the food. That's not what gods do in this universe.
None of them really seem like they understand him or really appreciate the way he lives his life either. They're all just like, Jesus Christ!
I think it's
what is wrong with this monkey person?
When you're trying to go to bed and your friends keep texting you and your phone keeps lighting up in the dark and you're just like, I love you, but goddamn.
Yeah. So, after this farming scene, we cut to Mr. Satan addressing the press.
He's doing a press release.
Talking about how he saved the world.
How long has it been since he saved the world?
Only a few
Is
months.
It 6
they said
months?
at the beginning, a few months of peace.
Oh, okay. Everyone looks totally different for some reason.
They all look quite a bit older.
Except for the fact that even though this show is brand new, it is clearly 1994 forever in
Yes.
this universe. And you can tell by the sweet resort wear everyone wears.
Yeah.
Mr. Satan is rocking a fabulous, like, pink, like, power blazer a la Miami Vice with a
Yeah.
ruffle shirt and pinstripe pants, and
Yeah.
it's just slaying.
He looks like if Lupin III did like an away mission in Miami.
Yeah, it's
It's a Vice episode of Lupin
but
the
it's
Third.
voiced
then,
by the Macho Man.
Kid Trunks looks like he's in Criss Cross.
Yeah, he's styling as fuck.
Oh, so
Honestly,
cool.
And he has the attitude to match.
Oh man.
I mean, that we're gonna be spending some time on that because he is really he's like very juicy for someone so thin. But Dragon Ball universe is, I think, exactly the same as our universe if Tupac never died.
Great.
Everything else is
Conspiracy done.
So Satan addresses the press.
And then what's his face comes out.
By the way, real softball questions from the press. They're just like, "How do you do it? Still, it's been months. We love it."
Oh, the press is truly garbage, right? That's what a terrible. They're not holding his feet to the fire at all. They're not presenting both sides of this story. What about Majin Buu's
Yeah, no one
side
wants
of
to
things?
hear about Hercule's war crimes while this is happening.
So
His money from the Sod family.
trying desperately to move us on here.
Okay, so the press is there. Hercule's knocking it out of the park, and then who appears but Fat Boo,
Fat Boo,
who is Hercule's close friend after all these years.
And
despite being an asshole,
he is throwing a temper
a
tantrum.
little tantrum. What a little baby.
He's ruining the press conference. The press turns on him. Satan turns it around, but barely.
What was the back and forth there? It was like Boo was like, "Me hungry," and then they're like, "Oh, he's raising his voice to Hercule. He must have even more power than Hercule."
Yeah, that's right.
Where did you make that leap? Some fat idiot who's pink came out from the back room, was like, "I'm hungry," and you were like, "Whoa!"
A lot of tenet of Dragon Ball, I think, is like a lot of exposition and making jumps that make no sense, but you're like, all right, we're just going there.
Just gotta go
Yeah.
there. Not
They have
one
no
person
time.
is like, maybe this guy is retarded. I don't know. He doesn't understand
so
who he's
nice of
talking
him
to.
Keep a slow adult child in his bag.
So after that, I believe we cut away. And
Which
then-
that scene has like no real nothing happened in it that you need to understand for what happened later in the episode. They're just like, "Oh, by the way, Hercule is still cuckolded by Boo from the press constantly."
They do briefly mention the 100 million Zeni that we know about from
yeah.
the title.
Well, Hercule's he's like international Illuminati from the beginning. Like
Yeah,
even
he's
before
already
Dragon
super
Ball.
rich. We don't need to be reminded of that.
From his WWE exploits.
Oh my god, guys, we completely skipped over the introduction of what I'm going to assume is the villain of this series.
Oh, yeah.
We got so swept up in that Dragon Ball bullshit that we forgot there's a giant cat in space and he's hungry.
I think he might actually be. We don't know anything
He's
about him
foreshadowed
yet.
in this episode.
We briefly meet him, but he might already be my favorite Dragon Ball big bad.
Yeah, they don't try to make him seem evil at all, even though he's killed more people than all of the other villains, except maybe Frieza.
Yeah, like
No, wait, no, because I already know too much about him. Is the problem.
you have these guys showing up. You have Vegeta showing up, and he wants the Dragon Balls for immortality, right? You go to Namek, and you've got Frieza wants Dragon Balls for immortality. Cell, I don't even remember what Cell wanted except to kill everything and
an
everyone.
android created to kill everybody.
Yeah,
But he doesn't have much time to do it.
right. And then what was Boo after?
Boo was an ancient magical being who was sealed away, and then they unsealed him for the purposes of having him kill everybody. But this new guy is a god who's just the god of death.
Yes.
And he wants to eat.
That's what I was going to say.
There's no way you would know that from what happens in this episode,
No.
but that's what it is. So
I appreciate a villain whose motivations are relatable.
yeah.
You know, I dig that he is he like we know his struggle.
Yeah, he
You know?
just wants food and he has no moral guidance at all.
Yeah. What a wonderful...
He's like, look, this world doesn't make any sense. There's dinosaurs, but they're people, and it's a democracy, and the whole world's Japan, and there's spaceships, but no one knows about them and is impressed every time someone goes to space. I just want to eat alien rainbow food.
Yeah, so he eats a lot of gelatin. He's displeased.
He doesn't. He likes the taste of it, but he doesn't like the consistency because it's purple gelatin in a martini glass.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then he blows up half the planet, and that's about it.
That was I will say he made a really sly comment where he's like, "Oh, I'll give you half or something," and then blow up half the planet, which obviously fucks the whole planet. I mean, that's just part of his trademark charm. We're gonna get to enjoy throughout this next arc of Dragon Ball.
So,
But that's all we
Planet
got from him.
101. You can't kill half the planet.
So we get Space Cat, who's hungry. We go to Mr. Satan, and then from there we got Trunks dropping some knowledge about the ladies.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes. What a...
Not to get his own, but because Goten wants to respect his sister-in-law, and he says, if you want to give these ladies what they want, you gotta drop the rock.
Which is insane. I mean, he's telling Goten essentially to propose to Videl.
Yeah.
Even though she's already married to
Married.
now
kind of-
very castrated.
Yeah,
Gohan.
our very
Gohan.
sad Gohan.
He's wearing a sweater. His pants are too high.
What's
and
gone horribly
Piccolo
right in his
is
life?
bummed out about it.
Gohan has a new set of Ed Hardy t-shirts that express all of his
see?
frustration.
Piccolo for 2 seconds, and he's just very upset about his
Yeah.
sweater.
And you know
that he's
what?
wearing.
That might be the most well-told aspect of this episode, is we know exactly what's going on with Piccolo there. He's standing up there just like, Gohan became a bitch.
You could have been somebody.
So
I think the Trunks story makes sense, though, in the way that they're 8-year-olds and they don't kind of understand anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in that way, it was the only part of this episode that makes sense. Is they're confused, they want to buy Videl a diamond, they can't afford a diamond because they've made no money saving the planet for 2 decades. Then they go to get a perfume and have to fight a snake. Who
A
guards
giant
the
snake.
well, okay, they go to get perfume. It's too expensive. An old man tells them about a hot spring. They go to get water from the hot spring, but before they get directions, Trunks says, "How do we get there, man?" Which is very upsetting.
You have a serviceable Kid Trunks voice.
I am in it to win it.
This is going
look
to come
me
in
up,
handy later in the
Funimation.
series.
And then they fight a giant snake who looks like he was painted in MS Paint. It was very upsetting.
So bad.
He's a dark green.
It
He's a
was-
Piccolo green.
It was very upsetting. And then they fight the snake, even though they don't punch its face or anything. I feel like.
Yeah. And we're this is something we were talking about while we were watching it, but there's something so strange about the fact that when we last saw these kids, they were fusing together, becoming the world's mightiest warrior and beating the shit out of an ancient
Doing something no
demon.
one's done for thousands of years,
Yeah.
apparently. There's Super Saiyans at the age of 8 somehow in a way that kind of breaks the logic of the show.
Yeah,
And then they
fusing
can't kill
together.
the snake.
They can't kill the snake. They can't even. They don't seem to even know what to do.
They have one line where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna blast the snake to pieces," and Goten starts like Kamehameha, and then Trunks is like, "Wait on the people down at the hot spring," and then he has to stop. But it's like, dude, just flick the snake.
Just throw it into the sun.
We've established you like destroy worlds. I don't understand what's happening with the snake, who was like anthropomorphically upset at them for trying to get the water, like it owned the water.
So they get the water. They bring it back.
Long story short.
And it is just water. And this brings me to the point of the women in the Dragon Ball Z universe who have
Yes.
one role, which is to do emotional labor for all these like golden retriever idiots.
Yeah, she like puts it on her face and she's like, "Is this just ordinary water? This is so touching. They're such beautiful little souls." And they're just like,
Well, it is
"We fought a
touching.
snake."
It's just like great. Poor, like, also, didn't she used to be, like, really badass warrior, and now she's all, like...
She had those cool bike gloves and the short haircut and the
And
spandex
now she,
shorts.
sold out, man.
Vidal doesn't need that perfume either, because her man's an accountant at one of the highest firms in town.
I suppose, but he's also researching things.
I just feel like she got very straight suddenly, and that bums me out.
Yeah, they changed her hair. She's dressing in, like, preppy clothes. Vidal really lost her shine. We're pretty disappointed about it.
So,
and then the last scene, right?
Yes.
I think there's only one more thing that happens, and it's totally unrelated to everything else that happened in the episode.
Well, we miss Mr. Satan shows up, and then there's the last, like, blip of the episode.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mr. Satan. So we're back with Goku again, who's
back
just
on
been
the farm,
punching holes into the
nothing's
earth.
happened at the farm. He seems to have just stood in the same position until sunset.
Mr. Satan.
Why won't the crops grow? I've been punching them for days.
Mr. Satan shows up with a car that says Satan on it, and he's just like, listen, I feel bad, you did all the work, and we're also, like, really concerned about you. Here's a box of money.
Please have $100 billion.
And Goku says no.
He says he doesn't want it because that's like Goku is he's stoic and doesn't understand what money is, even though now he is a day laborer in the outskirts of Japan. And then luckily his 8-year-old son is there who's like, no, Dad, you're working for money. Please take the money. And he goes, oh, yeah.
I believe he literally says, if you take the money and bring it home to Mom, you won't have to work.
You won't have to be a dad anymore.
And that's what he does. He goes home to Chi-Chi. He's like, look, I got this box of money. And can I go to the sky now to train? And she's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, beat it, Goku.
And then we didn't see Dad for months.
Oh, my God.
She literally says, just check in every once in a while.
Yeah, it felt heavily implied that she's having an affair, right?
Yes. She seemed really nonchalant.
With Hercule, probably.
Probably, yeah. That seems... I was trying to think in my head who it could...
Hercule's the only one who actually interacts with society in the Dragon Ball team, and I bet he's, hitting up every woman around.
Oh, my God.
So, and then we have one last glimpse.
Quick little look at the Supreme Kai and that fella that he hangs out with.
Just so you don't think the show's stupid. At the end, the Supreme Kai is in heaven and is like, "Oh, all these worlds are exploding," and then it's like, end of show immediately. Just so you're like, "Oh, maybe someone will fight in 8 hours," and then the show's over and. This entire episode was so you wouldn't worry about Goku's finances in the coming episode.
That's
They
really,
basically, they almost pretty much say it verbatim, like, you have all this money now, so you're taken care of, so I can go train, and we don't have to worry about anything back here, which means we will not see another woman probably for 6 episodes.
Several more episodes. One thing I do appreciate, though, is that, you know what, that was, during Dragon Ball Z, that was one of my main concerns, all throughout the story. I was wondering, gee, how is Goku keeping the lights on?
Oh, man. If you thought fighting Cell was reckless, you should see his savings account. It is barren as many parts of Namek.
It's as barren as Chi-Chi now is after pushing out 2 Saiyans.
He does literally nothing to earn money in years because he keeps fighting princes and marrying into their families.
So,
okay,
out of 10, Katie, what do you rate this episode?
I love a good shopping montage, and especially in early 90s style anime, so I'm gonna give it like a solid 8.
Wow, that is a high ranking.
That is surprising. That is
well.
Quite
guess
surprising.
what?
We'll see how you feel.
I
about
have
this
a
later.
feeling most of the show is gonna be garbage. So I'm giving it an 8 because I wasn't super bored.
All right, Alex.
I have more faith in the Dragon Ball universe. I have a family in the Sun family, and I want to see them fight for my amusement. And so this episode had very little fighting short of when children fought a snake that they weren't really threatened by. And that was pretty disappointing. But overall, I did laugh a lot because none of it made any sense at all. So I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Not
okay.
unhappy, but like that was a bad episode of Dragon Ball Z.
All right. Well, I happen to be a big fan of the mid-saga filler episodes. One of my favorites is Goku and Piccolo going to get their driver's licenses. Big fan of that one.
I forgot about
and this feels an awful lot like that. And also with the snake fight is very reminiscent of early Dragon Ball back when
Yes.
snakes were a threat.
Monkey tails.
But they ruined that for themselves with all of the battling in between.
Oh, for certain.
Because the snakes used to be scary, and now they're just stupid.
That being said, I like the feeling of being back to basics. You know, it feels Dragon Ball-y. I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
See?
All right. Well, I don't approve of
8
at
out of
all of
10.
these decisions, but that's the first episode, people.
Yay!
What do you want?
Well, I think it's prudent since we're already up to 30 minutes.
Yeah,
30
I
minutes.
think we could probably cap this one because it's our first episode.
Well, I think it might be a good idea to predict what we think might happen next.
Okay,
Let's say 2 sentences. Katie, go.
I have a feeling we're going to follow Goku to see what that training's up with, and we're going to see more castrated married life down on the earth below.
Alex, what do you got?
Just because I think they're going to fill more time, we're going to watch this snake defend more luxury goods around Japan and just be entirely incapable of holding down a family or keeping anything it loves from being taken.
All right, and I think we are going to follow Goku up to King Kai's planet, at which time he's going to realize, whoop, he misses the life of being a sharecropper. And he's going to come on back.
Oh, come back, Goku.
Oh.
I
back.
hate seeing you like this. That wraps up this episode.
Stay tuned. Come
should
back.
we do Twitter?
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter, Katie,
Yeah, follow me at Katie Rose, early adapter. Real easy.
Alex.
I am at Patak Jokes, which is spelled P-T-A-K Jokes. I cannot put my full name on Twitter since a former member of the FBI interrogated.
All right, and I am at